Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, we're talking with Shirey. He's the president and CEO of Nevada State Bank, talking about those small business loans and how to get them. For the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Hello, is this D&D Roofing?
Yes, it is. How may I help you?
You did such a great job on my roof. May I speak to the owner?
I am an owner.
Oh, can I speak to your supervisor?
Sure.
How may I help you?
I love your work. May I speak to the owner?
I am an owner. We're all owners. Well, that's why at D&D we work so hard to keep your home safe and sound.
Oh, no wonder.
D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal. Local, employee-owned, here for you.
Retail's impact on Nevada's economy? Enormous. 8,600 businesses, large and small, employing 145,000 workers. And last fiscal year, retail paid tax on nearly $60 billion in sales. We're the Retail Association of Nevada. We support retail, we help it grow, and we mean business.
RANNV.org.
Pro Group Management specializes in providing industries with the necessary components to satisfy and exceed workers' comp requirements. Every business has unique needs and specific regulations. Pro Group Management stays ahead of the curve, providing up-to-date services to keep your industry in top form. Discover how we simplify your tasks, improve efficiency, and reduce expense to keep you moving in a positive direction. Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Truck drivers are some of the hardest working people you'll meet, delivering over 70% of America's freight and 92% of Nevada's. When there's a natural disaster, they're delivering critical supplies to help those communities recover and rebuild. Every sector of the economy and our nation's military rely on truck drivers. So let's take a moment to say thank you. On the open road or city streets, our truck drivers are rolling to make our economy and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're pleased to welcome to the program Shirey. He's president and CEO of Nevada State Bank. A pleasure to have you on the program, sir.
Thank you for having me, Sam.
Obviously, banks are big in the news for every business person who is having to deal with this crisis that we're going through. Let's start out with the paycheck protection loans. Does every business with under 500 employees qualify for this loan program?
So generally speaking, the vast majority of businesses with under 500 employees do qualify. There are some exceptions to that. There are certain industries in which the SBA does not lend. So whatever those rules still apply to this program, and that would include things like the cannabis business. There are some limitations on gaming in addition to the 500 employees where they're limited in their ability to participate in the program. Also, if a company has fewer than 500 but has shared ownership with other companies, and in the aggregate they're over 500, they may be eligible. The bottom line is what I always tell potential borrowers is to go to the treasury.gov website. There's a lot of materials on there around the Paycheck Protection Program that really outline the eligibility requirements, etc. But generally speaking, yes, if your small business has fewer than 500 employees, you're very likely going to be eligible for this.
Now, the SBA is changing rules, it seems like almost on a day-by-day basis. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. They're issuing new rules, new guidance. In fact, just yesterday, they issued new guidance on documentation required for independent contractors and sole proprietors. And that program's been live for a week, actually since last Friday. And we just now received final guidance on what we need to look for on those potential loans.
Okay, so that would include people like nail salon employees, barbers, hairdressers. Would that be correct?
Correct. If they're receiving a 1099 rather than a W-2, then yes, that would apply to them, and they are eligible for the program.
You were mentioning gaming companies. The Nevada Resort Association and the AGA, and certainly Congresswoman Susie Lee and Mark Amadei have been pushing to get these restrictions lifted off the smaller casinos. Do you see even more happening there? Because it seems to be some kind of internal rule from the SBA that's not connected to what the federal government actually passed.
Yes, that's how I understand it. In my personal opinion, it's unfortunate, especially for the state of Nevada, because I know a lot of small gaming operators need this just as much as any other business, and their employees would benefit from this just as much as the employees of any other business. And I think it's unfortunate. There was some breathing room, if you will, given in the program where the former requirement, as stated by the SBA, was no more than 30% of your revenue could come from gaming activities. They increased that to 50%. Unfortunately, I don't see that creating a lot of room for these small operators to participate.
And it seems like Congress is going to have to make that change in the next go-around, because this is all being done internally within the SBA.
Yes, I certainly hope that happens. I certainly do. And I also hope that we see the additional $250 million that's been talked about passed by Congress as well, because demand for the program is very high.
Okay, so I mean, really, do you have any doubt that Congress, once they are able to agree on the next funding stage, will include additional money? Because, as you say, the need is so great. It would not make sense to put even more companies out of business.
I completely agree with you, Sam. I certainly expect that to happen. I don't have any inside knowledge here. I think, but I do believe that Congress sees the value of this program. So I hope they can come to a resolution on their differences to achieve that in the near term.
Let's talk about for the average business person, small business person especially, who maybe doesn't have a whole lot of staff. And they're looking at this and going, oh my goodness, when you apply to a bank under normal circumstances, there's all kinds of verification required. It takes a lot of time. How much easier than normal is this because of the way Congress set this up, that you are backstopped in terms of a loan? So you make the loan, but you're guaranteed that you will get the money as a bank, which is not the normal situation, correct?
That's correct. This is a much easier application process than I think most businesses are used to engaging in. A lot of the onus is put on the borrower to certify that they are eligible and to certify to a lot of facts. We don't have to go in and underwrite a lot of detail, a lot of the details of that loan application. But there are some things that a borrower needs to be prepared to produce. One of those would be their payroll reports, something to validate what they paid their employees in 2019. That is the determinant of how much the loan is. It's basically 2.5 times your average monthly payroll cost from 2019. So that is the one number that banks are responsible for reviewing and validating at some level. So there is documentation required with that. There's a few other documents required, but generally speaking, this is a much more streamlined underwriting process. And if a borrower can get their information in and the bank has the capacity to review that application, you can generally see approval in a matter of days on those.
All right, so you get approval within days. How long before you can anticipate receiving the money? Because a lot of these businesses, as you know, are on the edge.
Absolutely. I think what the banking industry is dealing with right now is a capacity issue. Unprecedented volume. About a week from the day that the the legislation was passed until the program was launched. So I think we were all working very hard to build an infrastructure to accommodate what we knew would be some very large volumes. Right now, what we're telling clients is basically you're looking at 7 days from application to loan funding. And it's not a factor of taking a long time on each application. It's just dealing with the volume of applications that are in the queue. And then working through there are loan documents to be produced. There are some things that we do that look much more like traditional lending that may take a little bit more time.
Let me ask you about another issue, which is obviously most banks offer online banking, but you don't have to have online banking to apply for this, correct?
That's correct. Particularly at Nevada State Bank. I can't speak for every financial institution, but generally that's correct. Many banks do want, including Nevada State Bank, we need to have a deposit account to associate with that loan. And that's because we are still subject to certain regulatory requirements around doing due diligence on our customers. So we are having new clients to the bank open that checking account, usually get them in right away to get that accomplished so that we can process their application. But the applications are done online. You don't need an online banking account. You just go to our website, nsbank.com. I believe a lot of the national banks are operating in a similar fashion. Enter your application and you go.
All right, so of course most banks at this point, if not all, are just using their drive-up windows. You can't actually go into a lobby. So if you want to open an account, how do you do that? I'm presuming you don't do that through the drive-up window, or do you? Correct. With us, we're actually setting appointments and allowing some very limited branch access for things like opening an account. So there's also ways to open accounts online. You can also call the bank and do things over email. So we're finding new ways to serve clients. Not new ways, but doing it, being much more, I think, forward-thinking in serving clients in ways that don't require them actually coming into the branch. All right, let's take a break, Terry. We'll come back with more after this timeout.
Because of UMC, there's a wide open road ahead of me.
Because of UMC, she can grow up with her twin sister.
Because of UMC, I'm here to help you.
UMC, the highest level of care in Nevada.
Hi, I'm Eric Robnett, owner of Home Energy Experts. Has this ever happened to you?
Honey, did you remember to turn down the thermostat?
Forgetting to set the temperature? Not fun. We can help. Our new smart thermostat keeps the temperature set for your comfort all by itself.
I'm feeling hot now.
To increase your comfort, go to homeenergyexperts.com for details. That's homeenergyexperts.com.
The signs and symptoms of cataracts can start out small with subtle changes in your vision. So don't wait. Be proactive and take your vision into your own hands. If you're experiencing the onset of cataracts or just have questions, contact your eye care professional or call Eye Care Associates of Nevada today. Dr. Hiss has years of experience specializing in the surgical correction of eye disorders and has completed over 84,000 vision correcting procedures. At Eye Care Associates of Nevada, we'll change the way you look at the world.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Terry Shirey. He's the president and CEO of Nevada State Bank. We're talking about the SBA loans, the Paycheck Protection loans. So Terry, what can the loans apply to? We know payroll, but are there ongoing expenses, rent, utilities? What other things can it apply to?
That's exactly right. I think of it as those basic expenses of operating your business. So as you said, payroll, rent, utilities, also interest on any mortgage debt you have for your business. Those are the expenses that this program is meant to cover, and really pretty much limited to that.
Okay, so in your initial application, you're giving the payroll information. At some point down the road, does the rest of that information need to be communicated?
So the way this works, your loan amount is based on your 2019 payroll, your average monthly payroll expense, including what you pay for certain benefits like health care, vacation, paid time off, things like that. You come up with that average monthly expense, you multiply that times 2.5, so basically it's 2.5 months of payroll expense. That is your loan amount, your calculated loan amount. Then at the end, after June 30th, you have the potential to have some or maybe even all of that forgiven by the SBA. And to determine how much is forgiven, you take 2 months of your actual payroll expense from the time you got the loan until June 30th. You take 8 weeks of payroll expense from that period. You gather your utilities, your rent, your interest expense that you paid. And if that equals the loan amount, in general, you could expect to have that forgiven. There is some guidance from the SBA out right now that says at least 75% of the forgiven amount needs to come from payroll expense. But I think we're going to see more details on the forgiveness portion over the coming weeks. As you had mentioned earlier, we see new guidance regularly on this. But that's generally what we expect to see, that a lot of these loans will be forgiven. The vast majority of them will be forgiven.
So let me ask you the other side of the coin, which is what can't the money be used for? And I'm asking you this based on the inquiries that you've had so far. What things have you had to say to companies know that that's not going to fly?
So generally, companies when they come in are telling us that's what they're going to use the money for, and those categories of expenses. So generally, you can't use the funds for other things. And again, I think the forgiveness portion is big here because they're using a formula based on those particular expenses. So if you ended up with money left over after looking at payroll expense, after looking at rent, utilities, mortgage interest, that would just turn into a 2-year loan at 1%. So it would not be forgiven, but still quite advantageous, I think, to small businesses right now to have that extra liquidity.
All right, so that begs the obvious question: how much are you able to ask for? Is there a limit on the funding, or is it just literally depend on your literal payroll amounts up to that 500 cap?
It is based on that 2.5 times your average monthly expense, payroll expense from 2019, but it maxes out at $10 million. So we're seeing very few, though, that are that large because, most small businesses, even at 500 employees, probably aren't going to get up there. So there's generally plenty of money within this program for most small businesses to cover a couple months of those expenses.
Beyond the information on the treasury.gov website that you referred to earlier, are there other places that if companies are concerned about the application process, are there other people that they can talk to?
I would obviously say talk to your banker, the person who knows your business the most, and they can walk through each bank can walk through how they process the applications. But I always recommend that small businesses speak to their trusted advisors, their CPAs, their attorneys, have them potentially help them through the application process, or just ask them to review the requirements with the on treasury.gov, make sure that they've got somebody advising them as to whether they are eligible. Borrowers are certifying to a lot of things in the application because the bank underwriting is less than what you would typically see. The SBA, the federal government, and banks are putting a lot of reliance on the borrowers to certify that the information is accurate. So we are recommending that they speak to a trusted advisor if they have any confusion about the process.
If a loan is forgiven, how would that affect, if you know at this point, how would it affect a business's credit score?
As I understand it today, it will not impact their credit score at all. This is not deemed any sort of default or that they walked away from a loan, or what we think of during the Great Recession when people walked away from homes. This is the government actually telling you up front that if you meet these requirements, we will forgive this and essentially turn it into a grant. So there, as I understand it today, there will be no impact on credit scores.
All right, let's take another break. More with Terry Shirey when we come back.
Dimitri Prine here for Design Outdoor. Are you a homeowner who's interested in remodeling or building a home? At Design Outdoor, we can show you how adding natural or manufactured masonry stone can add beauty and value to your home. And we refer only the best contractors. Our store and backyard are located at 11600 South Virginia, just north of DeMonte Ranch Parkway. Visit designoutdoor.com or call us at 851-9499.
Hey guys, are you watching the game at a friend's or the bar again because you can't watch at home with your wife? Or worse, because she kicked you out and kept your couch, your flat screen, and your kids? What's the one thing a man needs when he loses a good woman? A good lawyer. And when he loses a bad woman, he needs a great lawyer. What makes a good woman a bad woman? You tell me. You're the one that can't watch the game in your own home. I'm men's rights attorney Marilyn York, and I represent men in divorce, custody, and family law matters.
Hi, I'm Dave Newman. Remember me? I used to be the house detective, and now I'm a realtor, full-time at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates. And a lot of people ask me, how's the market? You know what? It's fantastic. If you're even kicking around the idea of buying or selling, give me a call. Let's talk about it. Call me at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates and just ask for the guy who used to be the house detective, Dave Newman.
Everyone is talking about opioids, but they're not the only drugs that can be harmful if taken in large quantities or not as prescribed. You also need to be aware of side effects from anxiety drugs, muscle relaxants, sleep aids, and stimulants. Mixing prescription drugs with other drugs or alcohol can be dangerous. If you take an Ambien with a glass of wine, it may be enough to stop you from breathing. Prescribed drugs can be just as dangerous as illegal drugs. Take medications only as directed.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Terry Shirey. He's the president and CEO of Nevada State Bank. Terry, is there any need, somebody called me about this yesterday, to ask for collateral from the bank in terms of asking for these SBA loans?
There is no collateral and there's no personal guarantee on the loans. Which is very unique for an SBA program. They generally want every borrower and the owners of those companies to be on the hook to repay that loan. In this case, there's none of that.
Do you see the need for additional funding from the government as you look across, you know, in your case, I mean, you're looking at the state of Nevada, but you're sitting there in Las Vegas, and you're seeing what's going on around you. What are your thoughts of what this economy is going to need just to stabilize, let alone move forward?
Well, I think first and foremost, we need to protect our businesses that are dealing with extraordinarily difficult circumstances right now. Yes, I absolutely believe we need more funding for this program in particular. The demand is through the roof. We have people here at Nevada State Bank, my colleagues are working literally day and night to process the applications that we have. And there's a lot of anxiety out there. There's anxiety about paying their people, those difficult decisions about laying people off. And these are very real decisions that businesses are making, have made, and are continuing to make. And I really hope that Congress comes through with another $250 million to reduce at least some anxiety level amongst these small businesses. We need to get them through this period because they help make this city what it is, and we want them to come through the other side.
Are you seeing any increase yet on defaults on loans that you're currently carrying?
No, we're not seeing that yet. We're working closely with all of our borrowers. We're very engaged in doing payment deferrals when it's appropriate. We're all in this together, and we're doing what we can to help our business customers and consumer customers get through this period, because we understand that, this is through no fault of their own. Their business has been closed by government order and by the terrible situation we're in with COVID-19. And it's in all of our best interest to help each other get through this.
And that's where we have to leave it. Terry, thank you so much for taking the time. Great information. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Sam.
And we'll be right back. A bird's eye captures its surroundings at different heights. At Brian Culpa Photography, we can make your imagination soar over buildings, parks, cityscapes, and beyond. Brian's images tell the story and get the job done. If you need a new perspective to tell your story, contact Brian today. Brian Culpa Photography. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
Kenny! Dad? What are you learning? This place is great. Huh? You gotta try this.
Wow! This stuff is great! People are gonna love it!
Yes. Yes, they will.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
Take a look at Pro Group Management and see how your workers' comp requirements can be met head-on. By taking a proactive approach, Pro Group can assure that your company is meeting or exceeding state and federal standards. As you move forward in your industry, Pro Group moves with you, simplifying regulatory tasks, clearing the way so you can get the job done and look to your future success. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
You can now watch Nevada Newsmakers on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and search for Nevada Newsmakers and become a subscriber. We'll see you on the next broadcast. Thanks for watching and listening.